everyone, and welcome to the Board Game Geek Show for September 2024. Today we've got Candace Harris with us, Eric Martin, and Stephen Bonacor, and we're in a hurry. And I'm Lincoln Dammers. Stephen's got to go pick up his mom, so we got to get going. How's everybody doing?
Doing great, man.
Okay.
Thanks for that intro. That was great.
Revealing information that may not be.
You gotta get personal. I mean, I broke my foot, so I'm really excited. It's been a pain. This is the first time I've ever broken anything except a toe, and it's been a challenge. I got to tell you, not used to this stuff, but doing good.
It's a step up from breaking a toe.
Yeah, it's a way bigger step up. But yeah, it's fine though. It's, what are you gonna do? So has anybody been doing anything interesting lately?
Prepping for Spiel.
All of us are prepping for Spiel. Only Steven. Steven's going to miss Spiel for the first time in like 15 years or something like that.
Something like that. I have a family thing that has to get done.
Hey,
so
you're being a good
back.
uncle. So there you go.
I'll be a good uncle. That's right.
Yeah, and that's
exactly
not a bad thing.
Correct.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So three of us are going. We've been prepping. We've been filming things to get ahead of stuff. Eric has been working on the preview, and we're over 1,000 games by a bit now.
Yeah, close to 1,100. Awesome. Although it's really slowed down. 2023 we had 1,234, and this year we're not even up to 1,100. Got less than, or just over 3 weeks.
I think part of that is maybe delays from the pandemic. A lot of games, those 2 years follow, once the cons started happening again, really happening, I think there were more games that started to come out because we had some pretty large years there. But yeah, go ahead, Stephen.
It would be a really interesting thing, Eric, if you graphed number of games in your list year over year. So I'm sure you probably have that number, but that's a really interesting thought to see. It's not definitive on the number of games being released. It's the publishers putting them up there, of course. But it's a pretty cool thing to see. And now that you're down by 10%-ish, that's interesting to know. I'm not sure what it means, but it's a factoid.
Yeah, we'll see. Got a half dozen surveys I see here, although some of them are just like update prices.
Right.
Well, Eric, do you have any news to share with us?
I do. Something just announced. Been embargoed for a while. I think some other people have played it, but just announced, coming from Office Dog, one of the Asmodee divisions, is Fellowship of the Ring trick-taking game, which I got to play at Gen Con several times. Apparently, Candace has played, Steven has played.
Yeah.
Lincoln?
Not me.
You're out. Lincoln is out.
I'm out.
Okay.
I'm out.
He's
We didn't play. I don't love to play prototypes. I like to reserve it till it's actually ready to go. But
that's right.
And for the most part, I'm like that too.
I'm talking about stuff that's upcoming, so naturally I will play prototypes. So this is a 1 to 4 player cooperative trick-taking game themed on Fellowship of the Ring, first book in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. It has 18 chapters, and each chapter is part of the story. So the first story, you've got some, whatever those guys are called.
The orcs?
Hobbits?
Oh, the hobbits.
Hobbits.
Wow. Yeah. Eric is really not too clued in.
Whoa! Nerd cred just fell.
Not
a Lord of the Rings fan.
I have no interest in Lord of the Rings.
Eric.
But I did play 4 times, and I was Frodo each time. I know who he is. And there you go. So you have 4 regular suits, and then you have a ring suit, and each character has a different thing they want to do. Frodo has to win 2 ring cards, and the one ring is Trump. There's no other Trump in the game, at least in the first chapter. So as things go on, so this other character has to win at least 3 tricks, and this other character can win no more than 1, and so on. So you get to the next chapter, you introduce new characters, and you're going to be drafting characters and going through different parts of the story. So very cool. Due out in December, I believe, and it's going to debut at PAX Unplugged.
Who designed it?
That's that. So it's really like the trick-taking fans and then Lord of the Rings fans, and there might be a little Venn diagram of overlap, and yet really I think the market for this is all of it.
And like
basically the crew.
Yeah.
Is that what you were saying too?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the crew, but Lord of the Rings version.
It is the crew game?
Well, no.
It's not
based on
but
the crew.
that's what it's modeled after. It's
Who
like,
designed it?
The designer is Brian Bornmuller, who actually works at Office Dog. He's sort of the head of Office Dog on some level, though, because his boss Luke Peterschmidt is now the head of many studios. They call it the big studio with Z-Man Games, et cetera, et cetera. So I played the prototype, as you just mentioned, Eric. I loved it, and because it literally is telling the story in the card game. So you play Chapter 1, the Long Expected Party, I think it's called in the book, and you're playing something thematically connected.
No,
unexpected party.
No, I think
but anyway,
I think it is. I think Steven's right. It's the
anyway. It doesn't matter.
Book,
So you play that out with characters and objectives for each character, and then you go to the next chapter of the book with potentially new characters that were in that chapter and new objectives. It is genius. I think I absolutely loved it. And of course, if you think about it, if this is successful, the next book would come out as well. So they've got 3 games here that they could actually bring out, assuming success and all that. I think it's going to be successful. I was very impressed with this game.
Press release, I believe, mentioned it's going to be released in 15 languages. So they're anticipating interest.
Some demand.
I will say, especially because you listen to Steven talking about, the thematic and the telling the story and blah, blah, blah. And me, I do not care, but the trick taking of it is really good. And you compare it to the crew, but sometimes in the crew, you will play 2 tricks and you're like, okay, we did the mission. Like, it can be very short and there's a little less going on sometimes. And here you are communicating a bit more, it feels. There's actually, you trade cards to try to help people out with what they're doing.
Thematic.
So,
and then it's also developed by Taylor Reiner, who is from Taylor's Trick Taking Table.
Yep. Ran into Taylor and he was just like, I have played this more than any other game. So he was totally stoked about it. So that's a big thing. A couple other things. So Restoration Games announced that they will release in 2025 Unmatched, Muhammad Ali versus Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
So back in, I think it was 2018, 19, they released Unmatched Bruce Lee, a single figure that could be added to any Unmatched game, and then it was gone. Like a single print run, selling for, up to $200 online, actually a little more as I was looking for it. And Restoration did the announcement now just to be like, stop buying this.
Yeah, don't pay all that money.
You can just wait. And of course, some people are upset because they just spent all that money. But of course, whenever they announced this, there would have been people who had just spent all that money.
It, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
so
somebody bought one at the BGG spring cleaning sale there. We had one that went up from, and I don't know what we charged. I feel bad now. I didn't charge that, but
Yeah, who knows? And of course,
it was for charity though.
Spent that money willingly, right?
Yeah.
They were under no forced threat to spend that money. They bought it because they wanted to get it.
They also have the first run with the little box. It's different, right? Do you care for the character or do you care for the whole, the whole package there?
Yes. And Justin Jacobson was super stoked about getting Muhammad Ali and now bringing back Bruce Lee as well. He mentioned that essentially it could not be done now as a single figure set. I don't know, licensing reasons, not sure exactly why. Production, who knows? But now they'll be back as a standalone game. You can have Ali versus Lee, or of course you can have them fight Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or whoever else you want from Unmatched. So Tom Lehman and Sandcastle Games are going to release Res Arcana Duo, a 2-player only version of Res Arcana, which is a little weird because Res Arcana is 2 to 4 players, but it's kind of just what happens now. The cards are a little more made specifically for 2 players. There's less direct attacks, or I think there's no direct attacks, yet it still can be combined with Res Arcana. So it's both its own thing and a new thing. And of course, it doesn't all fit in the Res Arcana box, which annoys people, but I don't know. Then don't get it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like,
well, you can you use any of that stuff in the regular game? You can't, right?
Yes, you can.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
You can mix the artifacts. You can mix the places of power. You can mix the cards. You can mix and match as you wish.
Nice.
So it's there if you want it, and if you don't want it, have a reason
So
not to
it's
buy
a
it.
two-player
then
game
go buy
and
it.
an expansion. That's actually kind of cool.
Yes, one of the expand the loans.
Yeah.
Just like Unmatched.
Cool.
Lovely. So
Candace,
there you go.
do you have anything to tell us?
Nope.
No.
Nothing.
Yeah, we're all
exciting.
been so
Heads
busy
down,
trying to get ahead of the
editing,
schedule.
recording. Yeah.
Yes, it has been a challenge. We filmed a bunch this weekend. We filmed on Sunday and Monday, and we got 2 more scheduled film recordings before we go on our trip. So it's actually 3 more scheduled recordings. So we're trying to keep up and keep so that we're not rushing at the very end, which is usually how it is. Stephen, what about
Candace,
industry news?
you could mention, Candace, you could mention that you're going to be spending yet another hour with me in about 3 hours from now, right? Doing the quad.
That's not news.
I feel like
But this is
I feel
not
like I'm
going
like working
up
at like
until-
BGG these days. My gosh, and I'm here at my mother's
Yes,
house.
today
Crazy.
we're recording again together.
That's right. That's right. Did you want me to go through some of the news,
industry news?
Sure. Okay, I shall do so. So we now go into what is basically the slow season for news because everybody's locked and loaded all of their stuff and all of their announcements for the rest of the year almost, and they're finishing up. And then post the Essen time frame and into the end of the year, we'll start seeing the news cycle start going back. But we did have a few very interesting things that I pulled off. The first thing is that the Brandon Sanderson Cosmere RPG that Brotherwise Games put up on Kickstarter has become the top funded game of all time
Wow.
at $15+ million, which now has eclipsed Frosthaven, which only did a paltry like $12 million.
Well, and they beat like Kingdom Death or something like that. I think was the one that Kingdom Death was the first big one, and then their second one was big. I don't know. They made a lot of money too.
Yep. But Cephalofair with Frosthaven was the reigning champion, and with great class, they posted a congratulation and they said we're passing the torch over now to Cosmere by Brotherwise Games, the Brandon Sanderson RPG in all of his universe of his writing, which is very cool. So Sanderson is a genius in the fantasy sci-fi genre. So it's really cool to see that that he has come up with this, and a small company like Brotherwise is part of it. So very cool.
Yeah, very good for Brotherwise. That's fantastic.
Right. So this is one that's very techie, and it's going to be hard for me to describe this. But anybody out there, IT based and very technologically oriented, this is very interesting. Google researchers have created an AI neural network that runs the game Doom in real time. So when you program these real-time first-player shooters and those kind of things, you have a game engine that you put it on, right? Like Unity is this big game engine that you program it. They didn't do that with this. They have this massive neural network that they said, this is what you have to do as the player moves around. And the AI generates the game on the fly at 20 frames per second. That is a massive leap in gaming. Yeah. Now, having said all that, you can't do this at the moment with any new video game release. The amount of computing power to do this is tremendous. So, but you can see that this is potentially going to be something that can happen in the future. You basically give the AI a certain list of commands and things it needs to do, and then it takes over as the player does things. It responds to the player. Pretty astonishing for the geeks, technical geeks.
The downer is that we then train them what to do to beat us. So this is the Skynet thing, right? I guess it's happening now. We will super be excited to play this thing, and everybody will just show them how to beat us. There's no, it'll be the perfect killer. So thanks, Google.
Funny you mentioned Skynet in this context, because just last week, as in the movie, one of the Terminator movies, the first one, where it says Skynet becomes sentient on this date, and that date was like last week. 2024. I forgot the exact
Oh,
name,
snap.
but Skynet is officially sentient.
And when did Google go live? Oh, no.
Yeah. No, who knows?
So
I
there
do
you go,
have
man.
Couple more.
I do have
Go
two
ahead.
quick updates. Oh, after you're done.
No.
After you're done.
Okay, couple quick other things. They're all kind of quickies. They're not things to really discuss. But the Embracer Group, right, parent company of Asmodee and Middle Earth Enterprises, they announced the appointment of Thomas Kulger as the new CEO of Asmodee, and they've announced a new board of directors for the Asmodee Group, which will become their board of directors as they become a privately held company. So as we've reported here and in the past, Embracer Group is splitting into 3 separate companies, with Asmodee Group being the largest and most profitable of those. So Stefan Carville, who started the company, with Mark Nunes, both of them are stepping down from any operational roles. They're going to be part of the board of directors with a bunch of other people from Embracer, and then Thomas Kulger will become the new CEO and member of board of directors. And this all goes down essentially when they spin off completely independently, which is at the end of the calendar first quarter. So on April 1st of next year, they will become a completely independent company, and you can go buy Asmodee stock at that time. The last thing I'm going to mention is Board Game
This is not a
Arena.
recommendation.
Yeah.
Is it not? I am not your financial advisor.
Yeah.
And if I was a financial advisor, I'm not your financial advisor. So you do not buy stock based on anything I say. But I do own a little bit of Embracer stock, a little bit. Anyway, Board Game Arena, right, where many of us play games online when we can't be sitting in front of a table. They have surpassed 10 million accounts now, which is, I think, a phenomenal achievement. I know BoardGameGeek is probably larger, but it's a very different site, right?
I don't know.
We get there and we
I don't
play
think
games.
So.
No,
We're
okay.
over 3 million.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I find that very interesting. The BoardGameGeek doesn't even have actual accounts that are that big.
Not everybody. I mean, I was not on. Well, no. As soon as accounts became available, I did it. But I have some friends that still don't actually have an account that use it all the time. They're just going there to get information. BGG introduced like collections, the ability to track your collection, and I'm like instantly like that was like the the perfect feature for me like I need an account, and I think it was pretty quickly after that was probably the reason why they had accounts, because they introduced the collections, but it's like the killer feature that for me anyway. So
10 million accounts now on Board Game Arena, and they they were acquired by Asmodee, Embracer Group. Asmodee, they're part of Asmodee itself, I'm pretty sure, and they will be going over independently with Asmodee. And so it was obviously a very good acquisition for them. And of course, they sell the free accounts, but they also sell paid premium accounts for certain games that you want to play. So kudos to everybody out there who's now playing all these amazing games. When we can't sit around a table together, we can do it online together. And that's it for me. Take it away, Candace.
Okay, I was just going to say, I forgot because of the timing of this episode, but in October, GMT Warehouse, Weekend at the Warehouse event is happening. And this is the first time, I think, since I've been full-time with BGG, that it's not the weekend directly after we return from Essen.
SPIEL, yeah.
Because usually it's like I get back Monday and then I've all this stuff to do and then leave like Thursday or Friday to do that the following weekend. But it's the weekend after, I think, whatever the 13th or something like that. And then also coming up in November is the next SD HistCon. It might be almost sold out because it is a small event, but it's super cool because lots of new games, prototypes there, demos. Lots of designers are there and content creators, and it's San Diego in November, so it's just nice. Yeah.
The BGG Con is early this year as well. We have usually it's the weekend before Thanksgiving, but we will be the weekend before that. And then I think next year is tight because we have Spiel later in the month, so it's going to be a challenge. And it's been a while too since there's been a late Spiel. I don't remember the last time, but I remember Nikki's into Halloween, and we missed it, because we came back after Spiel, and it was it was like November 1st or something like that. So yeah, that's that kind of, the schedules are all kind of slid around a little bit. Well, has anybody played anything interesting lately? Oh, I wanted to talk about the BGG Spiel list that Eric has. If anybody has anything exciting, I'm excited about the Rebirth from Mighty Boards and Rainer Knizia. I did not pay attention to it because they asked us if we wanted a game, but I'm like, it's crowdfunding. We don't usually look at them at crowdfunding time, but it'll be coming to retail, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. It looks pretty interesting. It has some really beautiful art. Anybody else have anything excited that they're excited about on the list? Guess
I've
not.
tagged only one thing so far. Well, mostly I just throw stuff on the list, and then when it finally slows
see
down,
everything, which is cool.
The week
You tagged one
because
thing? I have like
Steven-
77 things tagged.
Stephen Cordell has been really doing a
Helping
lot
you
as
with
well to put things on. It used to be I literally put everything on, and then it was like I saw everything, and now it's like stuff appears and I don't know, because Stephen and I share the information as it comes in from publishers, and sometimes
Right.
I catch things, and then sometimes he does, and we go back and forth. If things are missing, we tag them certain ways and then follow up.
Okay.
So I don't see everything. The only thing I've tagged so far is the game Sail or Die by
I saw that one.
Andreas Price at Loosey Goosey Games, mostly because the cover is this weird Peter Max style shark eating a butt, or at least with a butt right in front of it. And it's a card shedding game, so I'm interested because of that. But also it just
Right.
looks absurd. All the stuff you keep saying with
Well,
like
you also like Surfosaurus Rex. Is that what that one was called?
yes.
Max.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same
Max.
publisher.
Surfosaurus
Max. Yeah.
Surfosaurus Max.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
same
That's
publisher,
a
the same
ridiculous
designer.
theme, but a good game.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, we got other stuff. Yes, I've only tagged one thing. We'll get to tag more, but I'll mention so here's what I've played so far. That's
All right.
going to be at Spiel, Intarsia, Fairy Ring, Inori,
Oh,
Free
I wanna play
Society.
Intarsia.
Yeah, Kimono Memories,
Castle
Castle Combo, 3 chapters, and Pixies. Hope to do little videos on those in the next couple of weeks, just to give little teasers, because it's stuff that's going to be a Spiel, and I can talk about
Right.
it. So I should.
Awesome.
So yeah.
I'm
That's
excited
why I'm not
about
tagging anything.
I'm excited
excited.
about Civolution, the new big Stefan Feld.
Yeah. Who's putting that out?
Yeah,
Deep print games.
Deep Print Games.
Yeah,
Yeah. It looks pretty big and kind of heavy and different. There's some dice mechanism with a tech tree action system that seems really cool. But yeah, I have a lot more stuff tagged, but not a ton. I'm excited about SETI
Yeah.
and Eric, I don't know if you saw this game called Battle Dental. It's a 2-player abstract strategy game that has a crazy theme with somebody who's trying to rot teeth, somebody who's trying to keep teeth clean, like a fantasy theme, and you're trying to get teeth.
Okay. You need to
That's
play that
another
with
one
monster
I'll just
dentists
mention.
that take care of your teeth at the same time. So
Yeah.
Monster
Oh,
Dentist
wow.
is a Russian publisher, but that was fun. We had a friend that is a dental assistant, and wanted that game, and it was hard to get. I don't know if she ever got it.
Ah.
Did anybody play anything interesting recently? I mean, I'll start off. I played Rock Hard twice. We had a great time with it. It is kind of a light worker placement game. There is a little bit of confusion. There's a little bit of confusion with the. There's a no candy icon, which is a challenge because it makes you think you can't use candy to do that action. So candy is the mechanism where it's a risky thing where you spend a candy, see if you get an extra action or 2 actions or no action. No action doesn't affect your cravings. And then it bumps up your craving if you get that action. Then you roll a die. If you roll equal to that number or higher, you're safe. If you're under that, you have to recover the next morning or the next day. So what were you going to say, Eric?
was going to say, maybe give a one-line description of the game so people can
Yeah, sure. So
context for what you're saying.
you are a musician that you're working a day job and you're hoping to become a professional musician. You're going to be developing your skills, recording demos, making connections, getting record deals, playing concerts, and then hanging out afterwards. So there are 3 phases of the day. It takes place over 9 months. Each month has a day phase, an evening phase, and an after hours phase, essentially. A hangout phase, I think is what it is. So Dave had a great name for it, I don't know, but it's worker placement, and there are some things where multiple people can do it. Most of them, only one can do it. And if you do the candy thing, so you have candy's like the euphemism for drugs and groupies and all the bad things and that stuff. But what it does, it gives you the ability to potentially have another action. And all that means is you can't do the same thing. So if you have 2 actions during the day, because you spend that candy first, then you see if you made it, you'll still get those 2 actions, but you won't get an action the daytime the next day. You just can't do that twice. And I guess there's been a bunch of confusion. We didn't actually have that confusion in the first game we played. We had something else that was a problem. We actually filmed it twice. And then we filmed it again, and we messed up another thing, but this one was less important. We'll fix it with notes. But it's like, we still had confusion with that stuff, even though we got it sort of. Like I also was like the straight one, I think, in the whole game. I barely spent any candy, but you really need to. It's the way you have to push your luck to try to get more actions just to get, more things happening. And it's great. Really, really great. Really beautiful art and quite fun components and everything else. It's really great. Has anybody else had anything fun?
Should mention design.
Wait, were you guys eating too much candy?
I did not mention Jackie Fox. We actually messaged her many times yesterday and still messed up something. It's not that hard.
Yeah, were you
it really
guys
is not
eating
that
too
hard.
much candy while you were playing?
Yeah, I mean, we were wired. No, it's great, and I think they do a good job because it's a lot of her personal experience and people that she knows. So like the little stories, you have all this filler, background information about these life experiences and stuff like that. They're all real, I guess. It's really fun. And I can't imagine they're all, but maybe there was one that was, I had a life experience where I convinced somebody there was a new kind of toothpaste, foaming toothpaste in a can that looked exactly like shaving cream. So I hope that wasn't real, but it might be. I don't know. It was fun.
That's pretty crazy.
It's great. It's great.
I'm going to talk about something completely self-serving, and as Candace knows, I sometimes do. I played 23 Knives by Play 2 Z Games. Note, I am
the
the chairman of
retired
the
guy
board.
who's actually now helping run a company.
No. Zev Schlesinger, the great Zev Schlesinger, is the president. He runs the company. I say, good work, Zev. Keep going. That's all I do. That's what the chairman of the board do. You have a meeting, keep going. So anyway, the Kickstarter just finished on it, and we happened to play it at Dice Tower Retreat right before that, and everyone was like buying it right on the spot, which is really kind of cool back in the Kickstarter. But in 23 Knives, you are in ancient Rome, and you might be trying to kill Caesar, or you might be trying to save Caesar. You're either a liberator or a loyalist, or you're an opportunist sitting on the fence waiting to see which way the tides turn. We consider it, and what the designer pitched as, is social manipulation. You reveal in the beginning of the game, I am loyal to Caesar. I want Caesar dead, based on a couple of symbols on your character card. But then during the game, I start slipping cards over to you to put you either onto a different side or not as loyal as I am. Because in the end, if Caesar doesn't die, I want to win as the most loyal. If Caesar dies, I want to win as the most against Caesar. Or if you're an opportunist, you sit there as much as you can, because people are going to still send you things. And if you can be even, and right at the end, bring Caesar from death back to life, so to speak, by not having him die, or kill him, then you could win. If you can influence it literally at the last moment. It was hysterical the way it all played out. And as an as an opportunist, two of us at the table won the game, and it was just so much fun. So 23 Knives by Play to Z Games just funded. It'll be coming out next year.
Cool.
Sounds
We'll have
good.
it at BGGCon to show it off.
Okay.
Sorry.
So my mom was recently visiting, and so I took the opportunity to break out a couple 2-player games. I told you guys about Lone Wolves last time. So this time we played Chu Han, which is a 2-player climbing shedding game from Tom Lehman. And in the game you have like a deck. Yeah, and it's Madigo, correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But this was something I discovered came out at Gen Con, and I was just like, oh, 2-player climbing shedding game, cool. And it has cards numbered 1 through 9, but there's like 1 9, 2 8s, 3 7s, and like tons of 1s.
Right.
And it's cool because on your turn, and then you have cards, 3s and 6s have the 3s and 6s all have special powers. So you have to decide if you want to use them to play a set. And when you're playing combos, it's if I play 3 cards, Eric, you have to play 3 cards of a higher rank. So it's like you're always beating a combo with the same amount of cards. But then there are cards that can that have shenanigans, and they also have these writ tokens that you can, before you lead, take a writ and draw 2 cards off the deck. So you're trying to get rid of your cards first, and if you are able to get rid of your cards first, the other player, however many cards are still in their hand, you'll get points for up to a max of 5, and then also for any writ tokens that they took. So getting a writ is cool because you might get more cards to make bigger combos. But if you lose, that's going to be a point for each of your writs that your opponent gets. And like some of the powers are really cool. Like one lets you play cards of different numbers. And when you play all at least 6 2s, that is 6 points. And there's a 0, which is wild. So you could play maybe 6 2s and a 0. So that would be 7 2s. So you get 7 points automatically. But you're basically like racing. You play multiple hands, like about like 3 to 5, I would say, maybe 2 to 5. And whoever gets to 31 points wins. It also has event cards that you can incorporate, which I did because my mom and I played it like probably at least 6 times. So at some point I was like, okay, you're ready for the the events. And I even watered it down for her when we first played. All we did was we ignored the special powers. We were just like, hey, you got to beat the rank with the same amount of cards. And it's, I don't know offhand the time period, but it's a historical kind of Asian theme. So there's like Asian history in the game, and there's a booklet that also has ways you can play it that's historically accurate because of the cards that have powers have names of real historical figures. So I haven't tried that, but the game is really, really good. We had a lot of games where we were really close. There was one where my mom was like beating me, and then I made a crazy comeback and beat her. And it's really, really solid. And so that's Chu Han.
Neat.
Yeah.
Anything else that you played that was exciting? I mean, you got a little time. If you have something else you want to talk about.
You know, I always have lots of things.
Yeah.
Don't wind her up, Lincoln. You know she'll go
we got
on.
a little bit of time. We haven't heard
Go
from
for
Mom
it,
yet.
Candace.
Okay. I don't have she loved Duck and Cover, which I think some of us played at Gen Con.
I
also I also got sent a pre-production copy of a new game that's going to be kickstarted starting on September 14th, I believe. It's called Eternal Decks, and this is designed by Hirokin, who is the designer of Trick Takers, the card game that's called Trick Takers. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it.
I have
Probably
only
Eric
heard about it. Yeah.
More. Okay, yeah, I call that one like Root the trick taking game because every round you draft a new character and you're like playing. It's asymmetric kind of thing. But anyways, Eternal Decks is this really interesting game where it's a system and you play. It has, I think you play stages A through like G or something like that. It's a cooperative game where you are playing cards into a river or a different 3 different fields, and you're trying to unlock these Eternals. And Eternals are decks of cards that have like some kind of like, I don't know, eternal figure. Like there was a Kraken. There are other things. And the way the players will lose the game is if someone cannot play a card on their turn, you lose. So you have to constantly be trying to play cards into the field so that you unlock new Eternals, which will give whoever unlocked it a new deck of cards. And you're like, but it's very puzzly because each field has rules. Like one is a mountain. So every card has to be ascending, going up. And there's like the basic rule is you can't play the same color cards into the same field or the same number next to each other, not into the same field, but next to each other. So there are like rules, and we all start off with 5 cards, a 5-card deck, 3 cards in hand. I'm green, Lincoln, you're yellow, Monica red, Eric blue. So initially we all have different colors, but we all have cards that are 1 through 5. But as you start unlocking these Eternals, you are getting a variety of different colored cards and some that have special abilities. But when you unlock an Eternal, there's a curse. They come with a curse. So the curse might be like, no one can play 2s and 8s into any field. And then, so another thing you could do on your turn besides playing a card is generate a jewel to cover up one of the curses. But each stage has different objectives. The most basic one is you have to collect 4 of these stars, and there's 6 ways to do it. But the next one is like, okay, you have to, because I played stage B also, you have to get keys. So stars are different. They give you like a wild card. And it's just really fascinating what they do with like the different field cards and also all of the different, I think there are like, I don't know, like 20 different Eternals. So I'm very excited to kind of like go through the rest of it, but it's a really unique game. And cool. It's like a co-op where you're like, you feel the pressure of like, oh my gosh, I need to get a new deck. How are we going to get me to get a new deck? Okay, don't put a card there, put a card, without communicate. And then there's like, you can't talk about what's in your hand. So there are communication tokens that maybe I put it on a space like I want to play on that space.
Right.
And it's really cool. So it's going to be crowdfunded in mid-September, starting in mid-September, and it's out next year. But the pre-production copy is like gorgeous. Like it's a cloth mat, real nice pieces, nice cards. So I'm really impressed with the early copy of it.
Nice. Anything you play, Eric?
Yeah.
Have you heard of
We
Fellowship
won't
of the Ring?
encourage her. I'm sorry, Steven.
There. So, dropping stuff. Throwing stuff around. They're only library copies. Doesn't matter. So, Candace mentioned Chuhan was out at Gen Con. I'll just mention it was pre-released. There were a few copies available, which is similar to these 3 that I played, right? Asmodee had shipped in like a few dozen copies, sold a few, gave them to BGG Library, so I got to take them home and try it. So I mentioned Fairy Ring. It's a 2 to 4 player game in which you are building a mushroom patch, and each turn everyone chooses a mushroom card. You reveal them in turn order. As you reveal your card, you add it to your patch. You can extend an existing mushroom. There's 6 different types, or you can just add it to the left or right. And then you move your fairy as many spaces as the number on the card you play. And if you land on one of your own mushrooms, cool, you score it. If you land on someone else's mushroom, they score it, which stinks. But if you have that same mushroom type, you score it as well. So it's all about you collectively building this play space and trying to move around and land on just the right spots. So turn order is super important, because if I go before Candace but after Steven, I have to anticipate where Steven might put a card and how that might affect how I move. But I know I can maybe mess up Candace by what I do. So do all that, play through 12 rounds, which takes like half an hour or so, and score points.
Nice.
Oh no, it's very cool, interactive.
Who's publishing that one?
This is Libelune.
Day.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, Repos.
Repos. Okay.
Why am I thinking Libelune? Not sure. Which is weird. It's not really a repo game, but they've changed.
I played the prototype of that about a year ago. Pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Who designed it?
Was it Fabien Tenguet, Laurence Grenier?
Okay,
There
neat.
you go. So yeah, that'll be out in September, like Free Society and Inori. So yeah, it's Gen Con's like this pre-spiel event. Now there's lots of stuff being seeded ahead of time, just like Intarsia was going to be just a spiel release. And then Pegasus North America was like, give us something to release at Gen Con. Like, don't send this to Gen Con. And then we're like, well, this new game is coming months from now. So no, they got copies ahead. They got Bomb Busters as well.
Yeah, I want to try that.
They got the Witness games. And so they were actually selling at Gen Con, which essentially is marketing for Spiel, since Pegasus has a presence in Germany as well. So yeah, lots of stuff.
Well, cool. I guess that's it. Does anybody want to share anything that we need to know or look forward to? We do have BGG Con coming up.
Can't wait for BGG Con.
I guess we are all going to that, which is exciting. It'll be I did not see Steve, as we mentioned on the last show. Steve and I didn't see each other this last time at Gen Con, which was weird. And we'll get to hang out at BGG Con.
And Candace is playing War of the Ring with me. No
I know.
excuses, Candace.
Awesome.
No
we need
excuses.
to put that on the calendar right now.
On the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Smart. Make sure
We will.
sure it's in there and you guys do it.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Thanks for joining us for the BGG show for September 2024. We'll be back again next month. I hope everybody has a great one, and hopefully if you attend any of these events and you see us, come and say hello. And I hope you guys all have a great time and safe travels to Europe. And our key, those are actually for sale. We're giving some of those away at BGCon.
Gen Con.
Keychain. Oh yeah, BGCon. Yeah, they're
Those
great.
Does it have some at Spiel
pretty
too?
cool retro things. Yeah, I thought they were really neat.
Awesome at
Saw
Spiel.
them in the email.
Yeah.
That's right.
Very cool.
Scott
Cool.
bought a bunch of colors. He was excited about it. Well, cool, everybody. Take care.
So are you going to give these at Spiel as well? Sorry.
Maybe. I don't know what we're selling. I have no idea what we're selling. So, that's the other thing.
don't know if we were supposed to find us.
BGG will have a booth at Spiel, and we will be selling things. It's actually pretty exciting. I don't know what was decided upon. I think that the Bromers had on their Best of BGG were like saying we don't know what's going to be. Nobody knows except for probably Scott and Beth. Really what we're going to sell.
Beth knows.
Okay, everybody. Well, take care and have a great one. See you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.